Welcome everybody to Apple Insider. It is Andrew here and I have a special guest with me today. We're doing something really cool. I have Mark Montero. Did I say that correctly? Perfect. I have Mark Montero with me and we are actually going to be unboxing from what Mark is calling like the first uncirculated original iPhone to go up for auction. This is really exciting. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. So before we get into the fun iPhone stuff, Mark, why don't you tell me a little bit about you and kind of what we're going to be looking at here today?
So I'm with a company called LCG Auctions. We offer high-end pop culture items. And one thing that we've been offering since about a year ago is first edition iPhones. The first one that we sold was October of 2022. It sold for $39,000, which went above and beyond expectations. We followed this up with a sale in February, $63,000, which blew our minds. This was the same phone that we're going to be unboxing now, the 8 gigabyte first release from June 29th, 2007. So it's now about 16 and a half years old. We followed that up with another sale this summer, which was very exciting, $190,000. Now that was the rare 4 gigabyte model. The 4 gigabyte was discontinued 2 months in. We actually have one in the current auction on LCGauctions.com. It comes with the original receipt and bag from the Apple store. It's from the original owner. Very cool item. It'll be interesting to see where that one lands. But today we're going to be unboxing the other first release, which is the 8 gigabyte model. This one should be pristine inside the box. It's we've never opened one before, so it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, so they when they originally launched that iPhone, they had the two models. They had the 4 gig and then the 8 gig, and I believe basically everybody just opted like, I'm going to pay the $100 more and buy the 8 gig version. So they quickly got rid of that 4 gig, right?
I think that's what happened, is everybody paid the $100 more, and then I think it was September the 5th, so just about a little over 2 months in, they discontinued it, and it was just the 8 gigabyte for sale until early February of 2008.
That's crazy. I looked this up before we started talking. They sold 6.1 million of that original iPhone, and it took them 74 days to hit that million mark. I mean, now we're sitting here with our iPhone 15s and they're selling millions in like seconds, minutes, whatever of these things coming out. But 74 days to sell that millionth unit. So we've come quite a while since then.
Yeah, and when these came out, I mean, they were so expensive that nobody thought of them as a collectible or something to save. No one knew if they would stick. So very few were saved and preserved. So finding something like this is very exciting, and it's become a really big time collectible in the pop culture world.
I know I am personally kicking myself because so back then I'm like in high school and I was like an IT administrator for a company, and like the owner, of course he bought the original iPhone when it came out, and I did all the setup and everything for him. Pretty sure he bought like two, one for him and maybe one for his wife. But I remember going through all that stuff, unboxing that original one, and then he upgraded it even some point to the 3G when it came out. And I'm like, yeah, just sell it. Don't need to keep that. And yeah, you know, here we are. Should have bought an extra one maybe at that point. But yeah, this is really cool to see still in the shipping container. That's nuts.
Yes, and one thing to keep in mind is that if they are opened, if the factory seal is broken, not the shipping container, but the phone itself, the value is significantly less. So you're talking an opened iPhone, maybe $100, $200, $300, whereas factory sealed, mint condition, we're talking $50,000 to $60,000 for this particular model. And if it was the 4 gigabyte model, you know, the only one that's really sold publicly at auction is $190,000. So we're talking a significant difference in price if they are open. But this one should be pristine with the factory seal, just in impeccable condition.
Yeah, there's obviously a big difference between the open ones because otherwise they couldn't make things like this. I know you can't see on your camera, but I have one of those exploded grid frames that I'm holding up for everyone else at home. But it like breaks down the phone and all the internal components and stuff like that. And they're obviously able to use like recycled or broken or just existing iPhone units that are out there. But it's still so cool to see how far these phones have come. So what kind of stuff did you look for on that packaging to help you identify what phone was inside? I know you believe you got this from the original buyer and everything, but is there anything on the packaging that kind of tells you what we're going to be looking at?
So we know it's from the consigner because it has his name on the ship too, which we actually have blacked out here for privacy reasons. But it has the original launch date of June 29th, 2007 printed on the label. I guess FedEx was the shipping distributor for Apple at the time. It has Apple's return address in California. It also has the model number of the phone. It has the serial number, which is unique to this particular phone inside the box. So there's a few details on the box that are really significant. That everything checks out. It's really cool to see all of this. The serial number is here. Then it has the model number, and it also has the part number, which indicates that it's the 8 GB model, not the 4 GB model.
Well, anything you want to else talk about, or do you want to get into opening this box up?
So we're going to have an update on our website. Right now, we just have the factory sealed box on lcgauctions.com, which I believe has bids already. But we are going to update that after this video with the actual phone. So the person who ends up winning this will have both the box and the uncirculated iPhone inside, factory sealed. So so keep that in mind. But I'm ready.
Cool. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Alrighty, we can tell the factory seal, the tape is very aged, right here, if we can get it on camera. But it's sealed in 3 different spots, 2 spots on the front, and then it's got the spot on the bottom as well. So we'll go ahead and get into this. And we have received authorization from the owner to do this.
So while you are opening them up, I found some iPhone, just original tech stuff from the first one for a refresher from people who maybe weren't even paying attention to iPhones back then. But the original iPhone had no app store. You couldn't change the wallpaper on it. It had a 3.5-inch, 320 by 480 display, running a Samsung 32-bit ARM processor that they actually underclocked to preserve battery life. It had 4 8 GB options, a 2 MB rear-facing camera, but it had new features like visual voicemail, those multi-touch gestures, a full browser, and that iPod app. And you can see a lot of those apps are right there on the cover of that box. That's their packaging, even like their shipping packaging, just looks so nice, doesn't it? Like the way that it fits basically like perfectly in there.
It's perfect. And one thing to keep in mind is that the first release iPhone has 12 of the original icons on the front of the box. We think around November or after the 4 gigabyte was discontinued, Apple went to a new box design that included 13 icons on the box. So really unique to see the 12 icons. It indicates first release, and that's exactly what we have inside of here. So perfect. So now we're going to take it out. The gloves are on. The phone is out for the very first time
in almost 20 years. That's nuts.
Yes, untouched.
I mean, I'm over here, but that thing, I mean, it looks so pristine. Like, that's crazy. You said this is probably the most pristine one that's ever been up for auction?
It's the only one that's been directly from the factory seal case. So this is what an ideal model should look like right out of the case. This is what you would receive if you had ordered it yesterday, back in 2007. So it's really awesome. The seal is perfect. Um, you can see on the side panels. So iPhone 8G. Then we have the 12 icons on the front. All the details are present. I know that some of the buyers for these things have specialty cases constructed for them. And I guess they display them in their house or in their memorabilia rooms or whatever, but they're certainly, it's certainly a great talking piece as a collectible.
The real question is, do you display the shipping box alongside it, or do you just display the iPhone? I mean, that's the real decision people have to make.
Well, this will be a first because we haven't sold any of the shipping boxes in the past. So we'll see what happens here. But the winning bidder will receive both. Um, just a great piece and very, very unique. Collectors are always looking for something a little bit different. And this one certainly fits that. So it'll be exciting to see where this one ends. The last two that we have sold, 54,000 and 63,000 for this model. And again, those were not uncirculated. This one is, so it should be interesting.
That's so cool. I know people are gonna be disappointed that we're like not tearing into the packaging itself, but just as an Apple nerd, when you guys reached out and said, "Hey, we have an iPhone still sealed in the shipping box that we're gonna open up," I was still so excited. It's so cool to see it. It's definitely a piece of history. Nothing like that been around. So it's really cool. I'm very interested to see where this ends up at auction.
Yes, LCGauctions.com. The auction ends on Sunday. So anybody's free to register. We'll just have to approve you and you'll be free to bid. So good luck to everybody that's interested.
Cool. I can put a link for the auction down below in the description. So for anyone else who's interested to actually check this thing out, go ahead and you can follow the link there. Mark, thank you again for coming on to our YouTube channel and showing off this cool piece of history.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, everyone.